Hey guys, it's Mike back with Poker X Factor for part 5 of the Saturday 320 Super Knockout video. Hopefully you guys have liked the first 4 parts, and we're getting pretty deep in the tournament now, and we have a good chip stack, so things should be pretty exciting. Let's carry on here, see what we find. So first hand of part 5, we get Ace 6. I probably don't peel if it was just the open, but two other guys called, so I decided to flick it in. C3. I decided to go away. The guy's betting into 3 other people, even though we do have second pair there. It's not too great. So next hand we play is King 10 of diamonds. Obviously go in for a raise. I think we're actually final table bubble now. We're only 6-handed here, so yeah, we're probably about 12 or 11-handed now. So I go in for a steal. Works out pretty well. Well, not a steal, but ended up being a steal. Ace 10 obviously going for a raise, and the guy calls out of the big blind. We do flop top pair. I don't mind either option on this particular board. There's not many draws that he's going to be part of, so we don't get called by a ton of worse hands. So I almost like checking back here and then letting him bet and just go call. Typically it's only a 2-street hand anyways, so I typically like checking back here. I do bet and he calls, and he leads the turn. It's kind of strange. I don't think we can fold at this point. And then he decides to bet the river really small. So I think we just have to side call. I don't love it, but and yeah, we're beat by ace jack. So we based on the action and how small he bet, we actually probably lost the minimum there. Although I probably check back the turn if he doesn't lead. So it's just a tricky spot. I don't think we're getting away there. So it's not a huge deal, but it's an interesting spot. I see more and more regs, and I do it myself, leading there with top pair. It's an interesting spot. Anyways, ace queen small blind. Important to note, not just min raising 2.5x. This is the guy I remember this particular spot. This is the guy that had 3 bets 2 or 3 times already from the small blind, and I remember thinking like, okay, this is interesting. Like, do I want to limp raise him, or do I really want to play a huge pot with ace queen? Because if he 3 bets, I kind of have to. Well, I should 4-bet with ace queen, but if he 5 bets, it's huge, and I'm still thinking I'm ahead of his range. So maybe the best thing to do would be raise, and if he were to 3-bet just flat out of position, I don't know. It was going to be an ugly spot if he were to 3-bet because of the dynamic blind on blind that we had so far. Pick up pocket eights. I think next orbit against him, I raise. Oh no, I limp. I remember deciding, because we have this dynamic, to play this hand a little bit different for the same reasons. Eights is kind of about the same strength as ace queen, so I decided to limp call, and I be interested. So he bets big again. I feel like I'm probably folding the best hand here a lot of the time, but it's going to get ugly. So sometimes, you know, that is exactly why position is so important in poker, because sometimes you just sometimes you just end up folding the best hand because you're out of position. So this guy is obviously very aggressive. He's picking on us a bit. He knows we're opening a bunch. We've had some dynamic with him. I personally don't think this would be a bad spot to 4-bet. Make it 68K or something. I think I thought about it too. I just thought, you know what, our stack's good. I don't want to punt it off. Let's just carry on. So we do carry on indeed, and we pick up king queen off, and we go in for a raise. And the guy flats us this time. So we don't connect very well. So I feel like I probably just give up when there's 2 guys calling. So I do, and we just fold. Pretty straightforward there, I think. So we have pocket sevens. there's not really any reason to be three betting here. We're obviously deep enough to call. I think we're dead final table bubble now. I know a lot of guys like to really put the pressure on for a final table bubble. That being said, this guy's a good player. He's not just going to shrivel up and go away because we're putting pressure on him. He's going to flat a decent amount of the time, and sevens is going to be tough to play post flop, even in position, if he flats. If we three bet and he four bets, it's pretty gross because then what do I do? Like now I'm having to call off a decent amount of my stack with sevens and kind of set mining at that point. So it's definitely just best here to flat. Play a flop, post flop, and yeah, we can. I mean, that's what's nice because the pot's still small enough that we're now able to peel a flop like this. Say I three bet and he four bet and I flatted. His c bet now is going to be too big for us to call on this flop. So when you just flat pre-flop, you do have the option to not get bullied off by one c bet. So we call with second pair. He checks back. Oh, this is a really interesting spot. So this was kind of like the jacks hand I played earlier in this tournament. I almost always check back here. Again, with middle pair. This is definitely a spot where I'm merging. I feel like we are getting hands like eights and nines to fold a decent amount. Not necessarily against this opponent, but just when you take this line in general, guys are going to fold eights and nines here. It's going to be really hard for them to. The interesting thing about this line is that when I bet this turn and get called, I should almost be turning my hand into a bluff on the river. But that being said, I think he's going to do this with some kings. Like, he probably will do this with king 10 and king jack and stuff like that. I don't think he just goes bet with king 10 or king jack. So I think that this is pretty thin. I think there are still some hands we beat, like sixes are there, twos might be there. Ace, something like ace 6 or like ace x of diamonds. Stuff like that I think we beat, but it's pretty thin. I mean, I know most people would check back here. I was kind of just making a small bet to try to get to cheap showdown also was another reason. As you can see, it's like a third pot. It's pretty gross if we check back this river. Sorry, if we check back this turn and the river comes like a 3, which doesn't change much, and then he bets like 52K. So part of my plan with this was to get to showdown for another 27K, not 52K. Because I feel like if we check back here, not only is he going to go pretty heavy for value, he's also going to turn some hands into bluffs. So like ace jack or something into a bluff. And we shouldn't be calling for 52K on the river. So what I was doing was, protecting a little bit. I was merging a little bit, maybe getting a couple better hands to fold. I was also trying to get a little bit of value from worse hands, the couple worse hands there are, but most importantly, getting to showdown for cheap. Because even if he has king 10 here, I don't think he's ever raising this turn. And I don't think he's ever leading the river unless he hits a 10 on the river or a king. I don't think he's ever leading, which means we're getting to very cheap showdown when beat. So I think this is, unless you're planning to just check turn, fold if he leads river, then I think you should bet. But if you're thinking about potentially calling if he bets the river, then I think you should bet small here and get to cheaper showdown. So anyways, I do decide to bet. He does call, and the river comes pretty safe for us, we think. Obviously we can't bet here. I think we have a decent amount of showdown. A king is never folding. The only thing we're getting to fold out, I think that 8 hits his, he could have 8s. The only thing we would potentially try to get to fold out now would be like 9s through queens, and we might not even get those to fold. So I think we just gotta cross our fingers and hope that the guy has something like twos or sixes or ace X of diamonds or something like that. So, anyways, we check and he does indeed have sixes. So it was pretty nice scenario for us there, and we're moving along. It was a really interesting pot though because I don't usually bet that turn. I remember reviewing that hand after the tournament with a couple people, and they thought it was pretty strange that I bet the turn. But when I gave all the reasons that I gave, they said, it does make a lot of sense to try to get to cheaper showdown. Um, if you're thinking about calling a river bet, like I said, if you're not calling a river bet, then maybe just check back and fold if he bets the river. But that being said, I think you then get bluffed off by some hands. So, anyways, I go in, I raise king jack. I just decide to give up. I don't do it very often, but oh no, sorry. Let me just replay this. I think I was big blind. I was going to say that's pretty strange that I don't c-bet that flop. Yeah, I was big blind. I just peeled. I think peeling's fine. 3-betting's fine. JNF's really good. We've seen that he's sticky and willing to 4-bet. So I just decided to peel here. And unfortunately, we whiff, and he gets to stab at it, and he wins the pot. I believe we are final table now, and we already lost a couple players. I think we came in 8-handed, and we must have lost one guy in one of the hands that I didn't play. So we're down to 8 now, final table, which is pretty sweet. And we pick up Jack Queen in the big blind, under the gun raised, huge stack, cut off flats. I'm obviously going to flick it in here. And we flop middle pair. I don't know. I guess you could call one here, but like it's pretty gross. Your hand can't improve that much, like unless you hit a queen or a king. Kind of likely that he potentially has a king in his hand, like ace king or something like that. I doubt he bets king king, so I guess he only has king ace king if he has a king. But our outs could be pretty thin. If we hit a jack, it might not be good. I just decided to go away. In position, I'm calling there for sure, but I decided out of position. It was just not a great spot for us. Okay, so under the gun raises, really good player. I don't hate flatting here. I mean, looking at his stack, he's got 20 blinds. I'm just kind of trying to take advantage a little bit of the ICM implications, although he's not really the type of guy to try to do that against because, he's done very well in poker and he's going to play the hand properly and not, go away just because there's the next pay jump is a couple $1,000 or whatever. He's gonna, if he feels like he's ahead of my range, he's gonna get it in. So I almost prefer to just flat here, but squeezing is fine too. But I think if you squeeze, the thing about squeezing is if he shoves, I think we have to call, and then that's like half our stack. So it's kind of gross if he shoves. Anyways, Manon decides to call, and we kind of whiff the flop. I have to bet, and he just calls, which is kind of strange. And I really wanted to barrel here, but if I bet here, he's got a pretty good spot to jam if he has like for some reason if he had two pair or a set, he's check jamming here. He's not folding a jack, so then we have to hit a queen or a diamond. I think I'd rather just knuckle back here and try to hit a diamond or a queen, and if not, preserve our stack. Because if I bet here, I've got to put in like 65K or something, which is a quarter of my stack. So I think just knuckle back here and try to get lucky. We whiff. He bets small. I think that's just a thin value bet with like a jack queen suited or king jack or ace jack or something like that. So, anyways, I decided to preserve my stack and not blow it up right there. And moving along, I think about 10 or 11 hands later, we pick up ace 9 suited. So we're down now to like, I don't know, 18 net blinds or something. Yeah, almost exactly 18 blinds. I think this is probably a jam. In fact, it definitely is a jam. I'm shocked that I do anything but jam. But I decided to make a small 3-bet to make it look way stronger. And he calls. Like, we've already seen this guy calling out of position. This is a jam all day long. Like, I'm pretty annoyed at myself that I did this. Either fold or jam. And jam is better than folding. So, you know, you live and you learn, but this is a jam. Against that stack, when we're playing 7-handed and he's opening through 5, I mean, it's got to be a jam. Anyways, he peels. I whiff. I should be c-betting. I do, and he shoves. And we just get owned. So, this guy was playing, he was actually playing super weird. He was like 5x opening. Oh, this is why. I remember why I didn't shove there. This guy was calling off shoves like ridiculously. Um, you know, it was crazy. The way he was playing, I just thought I would have a better edge playing him post flop, which clearly either he flopped huge or just owned us. But I almost don't even mind flatting against that particular player. I would never, ever, ever flat there against most players, but just that guy was. I don't know why I was 3-betting because I know he wasn't gonna. I mean, I should almost just get it in and hope he calls with worse. But you live and you learn, and we move along. So he's building quite a nice stack. He was a huge fish. I remember him now. Yeah, he was just. He was. We saw him like 9x opening. So here's a 3x open. It's just an auto jam. And he calls King Jack. I mean, not the worst based on my stack, but it's pretty bad. And we double up through him. So that was nice. Maybe 10 hands later or something, we pick up Ace Jack, go in for a raise. Big blind peels. We whiff in the worst flop ever for his range, so we just give up. He bets the turn. We were done with it. Weren't really connecting with flops at this final table. I'm interested to see why my 7s didn't go all in. Yeah, I remember this hand. I think that is probably a shove. I remember tanking and deciding to fold, but having a second look at that should be all in. Ace 10, get 3-bet, and not a whole lot I can do. You know, could be bluffing us, but am I really gonna 4-bet shove here with Ace 10 and just maybe shove it right into Ace King or Kings or something? So I fold. Decide to wait a little bit, try to pick up something good. Ace Queen, I think it's pretty standard shove for that many blinds there, especially like ICM, final table stuff. Everyone folds. Pocket 9s we pick up. And obviously, very easy shove here. Almost kind of looking to get called actually there. Needed to double up. There was actually a bunch of hands here that when I actually picked up hands, spots where I wanted to get called and didn't. like here is one of them. So interesting stack, 14 blinds from the cutoff. Some people would say just jam here. But they've seen me raise fold off of, 10 to 16 blind stacks. So I thought I might as well keep that consistent and hope one of these guys spazzes. No one spazzed. Very next hand, I pick up pocket nines. Same thing, min raise, hope to get someone to spaz. Guy just calls. I c-bet and he actually folds for once, which is decent for that flop. And then we pick up maybe 6 hands later. Let's see, I want to actually see these hands here. I want to see this ace 8. I'm going to see this ace 5. There's an ace 5, an ace 8, and an ace 9 that I don't play and I want to see. Alright, so this is fine, this fold at a final table. Ace 5 suited. Ace 8. Yeah, under the gun. If it's any deeper, like if fresh Leo opens or man in, I'm probably all in. Yeah, it's just not strong enough to peel here either, so I just fold. Ace 9 from the small blind, off suit. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a pretty good spot to shove there too. I probably should shove here. I almost like this spot better than the sevens. Fresh Leo is definitely opening wide enough. 18 blinds, he's not calling too. He's not going to be calling. Doubt he's calling ace 10. Or maybe not. I mean, he ace jack, I don't even know. Maybe ace jack suited plus. This guy could be calling wide, but could be calling worse, right? We saw him call with king jack. So, yeah, I think this is a shove. There's 62,000 in the pot. I'd be adding like 30% to my stack. So, yeah, I think that's a shove there. Ace 9. Would be nice to have it suited, but I think you got to go there. Ace 10. Pretty easy open. 16 blinds, I mean, you could argue just ripping ace 10. I mean, 14 I think is definitely a rip. 16. I don't know. I just decided to give up, save my chips. I don't think he's ever folding a pair here, and he's going to float a lot of stuff that he's just going to take it away on the turn. There's a king jack here that I'm interested to see. Yeah, so this guy 4.2x opens, and I don't have a ton of fold equity. I just, unfortunately, like if he goes 20,000, I might rip, but he didn't leave me a lot of space. So I just fold there. Down to 12 blinds here. Can't imagine. Yeah, like there's another spot where I should just be all in. Two hands later, we pick up Jack Jack. Easy shove. We want to call. No one calls. Very next hand, we pick up Ace Queen. Easy shove. We want to call. No one calls. Eight hands later, same sort of stack. King, king, dream scenario. We shove. We want to call. We don't get called. And then it all comes down to the last hand. We pick up pretty dream scenario. We pick up ace king in the big blind against the fish who 4x opens. How could it get any better than this? We shove, he calls, fives, it's a flip, and we can't win the flip, and we have to go home. So showers for us and a frustrating seventh place, but a final table at a good tournament, decent. I think I had I want to say 9 or 10 bounties plus the score, so it was made for a profitable day. Would have liked to have gotten a bit higher in the rankings and made some more money, but got to win those flips deep. There's a couple spots I probably should have taken earlier in the tournament, which this is exactly why I do this sort of thing, and hopefully why you guys are chiming in and watching these videos to learn those spots, even learn from the spots that I played bad. So hopefully you guys liked the video. Hopefully you learned something. I'd love for some feedback on the in the forums. Also, that's another way for everyone to learn, myself included. Um, so yeah, I'd love to hear some feedback about what you guys liked, what you didn't like, what you'd do differently, all that sort of stuff. So let's get some chat going in the forum. I'll try and be quick with my responses to those inquiries. And yeah, good luck on the felt, everyone, and we'll see you. We'll see you out there. Take care.